Okay, so that is that time, and so now we have our breakout sessions are scheduled to start at 3:25, and we're supposed to go on break at 3:05. So we have a little bit of time if we want to have answer some of the questions that were asked in the chat now. So I'm going to go scroll back to the beginning and look for things that are actually questions as opposed to comments. And so many of these are comments, and so I'm not going to ask them because people can see them and learn from them themselves. So this is a question for Dennis, if he is still on, as to who is funding the vapor pyrolysis work. I don't know if Dennis is still here. He might not be. Okay. So I will skip his questions. So there's a question from Suman to Matthias about how all these phenomenological laws scale in lunar gravity. And actually, Matthias has answered that in the chat. So I'm going to leave that. Actually, why don't you go ahead and answer that briefly here? Because I think that's, yeah, if Matthias is here.
Yeah. So I hope I understood the question correctly. So what I'm showing here is not a scaling picture. So we're doing microscopic calculations. So bringing up the picture here on the left, so there's no scaling that's at least simple. Bagnall scaling is the only thing that really scales for a reason, but that would be almost gravity independent because that's a high shear rate. And what you should appreciate from that approach is that you can calculate individual points in parameter space. It is a quite interesting question how things scale if you have a process on ground, and if you take, for example, a fluidized bed that you optimize on ground and you take it to the moon. And the second talk in the session was using that scaling pictures, and I'm interested in finding out what we know from how much that scales, but we probably know a few things from parabolic flights, but that may not be the most robust data. Yeah, that's an interesting question. And from a microscopic calculation, you can learn how much scaling applies to your problem and when scaling should end.
All right, and let's see, there was some questions to Tim Nebold that was actually a conversation about electrode corrosion, and that is in there for folks to take a look at. And then there's a question now about the sintering. Okay, so this is a question for Bala. I think he's still on. Do you believe that BAC liquefaction approach in a gravity environment would also hold true in a microgravity environment?
Sorry, repeat the question for me, please.
Do you believe that BAC liquefaction approach in a gravity environment would also hold true for a microgravity environment? This is from Dallas Bienhoff.
Probably not for a strict microgravity environment, depending on what the G level we are talking about, but it is adequate for partial gravity.
All right, thanks. So I have there's a question here that's in there that maybe one of the folks who is more into the organization loop could answer, which is how do we access the posters? So if someone could paste that link into here, I think that would encourage people to go view the very valuable posters. But I don't have access to that link. All right, thanks everyone for really interesting talks. And yeah, I think I will look forward to meeting some of you and being able to talk in the breakout sessions.